We rode bikes, we canoed.
That's what we did. We did the bike ride that day.
Ready for us to get into it?
Oh,
awesome. Cool. All right. Well, peace, Yolanda Marie, Yani for short. I want to welcome you back to season 2 of Artist Touch Talks. Today, I am joined with one of the most wonderful special guests. Her name is Tauri Janeé. Tauri, would you like to introduce yourself? Who are you?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Tauri, also known as Editorial. I am a creative writer, booty shaker, a content creator, community curator, and a list of other things. But to put it under one title, I usually just go by full-time creative.
Beautiful. So what we like to do here at Artist Touch is to ask that question, but break it down a little bit. So who are you? Who's Tauri the person?
Okay, Tauri the person is a Cancer. Important information.
Yes.
She is really bubbly and tries to keep a positive mindset, mostly because she knows how deep down in a hole she can go if not. Tauri the person likes to be in the kitchen. She likes making pies and cupcakes and parfaits. I don't know what. That is like a obsession of mine. I eat
kind of person.
Parfait almost like every morning. Yeah, Tauri the person likes to laugh and she likes to dance and she likes to be around people who love her. So and people that she loves. So that's Tauri the person.
Tauri the person sounds so beautiful, and we got to see her show up on camera today. Delicious photos. We love it. So as Tauri the person, how does being Tauri the person affect your art? How does that affect how you show up to your creativity?
Well, my art is really colorful in all forms of expression, like fashion. I'm always in colors. I'm in neons, I'm in bright pinks, I'm in yellows and oranges. And even in my dance practice, I share a lot of dance videos on Instagram. And I found a filter once that just felt like it was my aura. Like I saw this filter and I was like, this is the most beautiful filter I've ever seen. And it's this infrared filter that turns my body into all of these beautiful colors. So I think Tauri the person shows up in my art in that way too. And also I just really, I find myself in spaces with women who are a bit of a mirror to me, you know, and I look around the room and I feel like I'm surrounded by, you know, beauty and empathy and like celebration and laughs. I'm like, oh, okay, like everyone here is a reflection of one another. So I think Tauri the person shows up in those spaces too.
I love that. Side note, that's literally the umbrella we do these Artist Touch Talks under. It's called House of Fluid Reflections, and that's literally the idea that in all these people that we come across and engage with, there was a reflection somehow in there, and when we're present and just taking these moments, we realize, oh, this is me. I'm talking to me. I'm engaging with me. I see me here. I see me there. So I love that that's how your you-ness shows up in your art and you fully just allow that to exist there. So taking it even more to the personal, how or did anything in your childhood influence you, or what brought you to the art?
Oh gosh, I was raised by such wonderful women. My mom and my grandma are the blueprint for me in very different ways. My mom is so fun. She has a great sense of humor. She's just like a big kid, and all throughout my life, we went on road trips. We went to amusement parks. We were dancing in the living room, like, you know. So I got that really youthful spirit from my mom. But my grandmother was, you know, teaching me how to make pies and taking me to theater shows and like buying me art supplies. And so I was really being nurtured into myself, like, you know, and I was allowed to explore identities. And my mom might have like cracked a couple jokes, like, girl, you leaving the house and that, okay. But she was never like, you can't do this, like, you know. And My grandmother was always pushing me to challenge what was considered to be like a norm for women. So, you know, she would ask me, like, when I remember when I wanted to get my eyebrows waxed for the first time, she would ask me, why are you doing this? Like, why? Who says you have to wax your eyebrows? Your eyebrows are fine the way they are.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm in the 6th grade, like, what, girl? You don't have no eyebrows. Okay? I'm getting mine waxed off. Okay?
All the way, period.
But then as I came into adulthood, I found myself returning to those questions and being like, yo, my grandma's white. Why am I waxing my eyebrows off once a week? Like, that made no sense to me anymore.
Yeah.
And it was because, like, those women really just nurtured me to be my full self.
I love that. So a segue question. I love how you so liberally talk about the importance of sexuality and connecting to your sexuality. Did they also in that way help foster that energy within you, or did that come on its own?
So I would say it mostly came on my own, but they created spaces that I felt safe enough to explore.
Okay.
So I started, and this is the truth and how this happens for a lot of young women, but I started exploring like this idea of being like cute and sexy when I was young. I was like, you know, I had what is that album? Get Rich or Die Trying. I take you to the candy shop. Okay, yes. And I had my little Walkman and my little wired headphones, and I'd be in the background just dancing, like, and twerking. And I knew this was something that if my mama came home and saw it, she'd be like, what you doing? Stop it, you know?
Right now.
But I still, like, started that exploration then. And so, you know, as I got older and more mature, it has just evolved, and I've become more comfortable in my body. And that absolutely made me feel like more empowered to be sexy and not feel any shame for it. Because there wasn't a lot of shame around like sex in my house or growing up. There was like education. There was like, this is what's gonna happen if you do these things. And also, like, the way my mom like talked to me about sex, I would be like, this is a serious, mature thing. And I had those thoughts to myself. I would be like, I don't know, sex seemed like for people who pay mortgages. I don't seem like something I should be doing. Like, you know? So I was kind of, you know, aware and conscious. I had a respect for it. And it was because, like, you know, like I said, I was raised by these two wonderful women who always made me feel like I could go to them.
Beautiful. I love that because I feel like for so many of us, especially minority women, and I didn't even like that word, but us brown folks, I feel like that is one of those things that we don't see enough of, is parents or guardians creating the safe space for that to exist. So I'm so glad.
Grateful to hear that you had that environment that fostered, because now you're reaching others of all ages, especially women who may not have that environment, and get to see you and your shares.
And how that is an option and how it can be safely done, it can be embraced. So I 100% love that was how you were brought up, and that now you are re-gifting that gift into the world and to other people. So segueing from that as well, I'd love to talk about, I loved your piece from Cosmopolitan. Thank you, Insecure. Can you talk a little bit more about how you felt being seen with marijuana? Because I have a very similar experience to you with my backstory with it. I thought it was so horrible. I experienced the family members getting put away for these marijuana charges and things of that nature. How was that journey to liberation and comfortability in marijuana for you?
I mean, it was a long one, and it took me being around, around and in spaces where I could see people like myself participating in that culture, and still thriving, you know? And so I saw women like Vic Styles, who runs Black Girl Smoke and is killing it. Literally. You know, like has like the most brilliant brand partnerships, is like running her own business, has a podcast that's phenomenal, but also like participates in this culture. And so when I was able to see that kind of security versus the fear that was introduced to me at a young age.
Yeah.
I was able to be like, oh, okay, like I don't have to really be afraid of this thing as I was, you know? And then you see it in media. And the thing is, everyone has like their stoner culture or their stoner stories, but Black women, you know? And Insecure was that introduction for me, because you have like Harold and Kumar, and you have How High, and you have, you know, what's his name, Steph Rogen, who celebrate cannabis, and their success isn't dismissed because of it.
They're celebrated.
They're celebrated.
Trailblazers, trendsetters.
And it's funny, and like, you know, it's just a creative tool with them. I never saw that with women, like Black women growing up.
Yeah.
You know, I never saw movies where they did this thing but still ended up okay.
Yeah.
So when I was introduced to those images, like the episode of Insecure, like Vic Styles, I was just like, oh, I think I'm gonna be all right.
Oh, absolutely,
You know?
100%, and you are thriving, and that is how we met at the wonderful, wonderful event hosted by Black Girls Smoke. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Ash. It was such a phenomenal experience. But through that, you are also now sharing with these people. You're creating these Issa moments for other people, which I think is so beautiful. So one of the biggest questions I had, especially after reading a lot of your work, is how you break down the idea of what this patriarchal society has done to us as women and how it affects us. Have you had a conversation with someone who, and a male in particular, who maybe identified with these ideals, and have you had someone question them after a conversation with you?
Question the ideas around like creative expression
and the patriarchal eye that they may have around it. Like, have you had someone then have to question or scratch their head a little bit after talking to you about it?
Oh, you know, I have been very privileged to be around. I'll start with this. My family, mostly women. My mom has 4 sisters. You know, my grandma was a huge influence in my life. One of my first real jobs, the team was like mostly women. I worked later at the Wing, which was a space filled with women. And so sometimes I joke and I'd be like, I don't know how to interact with men. You know? Sometimes I look back at my life and I'm like, oh my God, I spent so much time with women, and that is such a blessing, because now there's nothing more that I love than womanhood. I love being a woman. And then the small amount of men that I have grown close to, my current partner, my dad, they are so supportive, you know? And when I talk to my partner about, you know, my form of expression, and he's just like proud of me, and like how, you know, in touch with my creativity I am, how confident I can be. And like even my dad, I'll put my little videos up, my dad send me a little fire emoji response. All he does is emojis, like, you know, he keeps it short, you know? But yeah.
He's like, I'm your dad, but I'm gonna give you.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, claps, claps, claps. But that's just my dad in general. Like, I got a new job, he'll call me like, your mom said you got a new job. Nice. Like, you know, he just gets to the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the men in my life are actually quite supportive.
Oh,
I know that's not the case for a lot of women.
Yeah.
But I've been really fortunate to be
that.
around supportive men, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so this quote, I read it in your piece and I was just like, this made me feel some type of way. I love this, and I love how expressive your writing is. Like, I really do see the movie. You take me places when I read your words. So when I read "Hope is joy that has yet to manifest," how did you arrive to this sentiment?
Oh, because I used to be such a worrier. I used to be such, and I still am sometimes. I still do get in my head and panic. But then I was introduced to this idea that like worries are prayers, and that the same way you sit down and you would say, hey God, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing, and you would assume that, you know, those thoughts will manifest into that thing. When you sit down and you're like, oh, this bad thing is gonna happen, this bad thing is gonna happen. Now you're moving with that energy. You're moving with that in mind, and you're moving yourself closer to that manifestation. And so that's a prayer. That's what a prayer is. And so when I started to think about hope, I'm like, okay, hope is this idea that like things are gonna be okay. Like in the future, I'm gonna be smiling again. I'm gonna be joyful again. It just has yet to manifest. So yeah, that's how I try to, that's the mindset I try to live in. I try to just say like, that joy is out there, and the only way for me to come to it is to be hopeful.
I love that. Yes, that is beautiful. So I love on your website how you have the artist diary. I love the concept. I love the visuals. How did the idea for the artist diary come about?
I have a really intense journaling practice. I run through journals because it's meditative for me, it's therapeutic for me, and it started, I realized I've been journaling since I was a little girl, but never with intention. It started, the intentional part started around 2016 when my best friend Rachel got me this journal, and she probably doesn't even remember getting me this journal, to be honest. It was probably like, whatever, girl, Merry Christmas. But it had 365 pages in it, and I said to myself, I'm gonna journal every single day and see my year in reflection. And I was excited about the challenge, and I was like, I'm gonna have this year's worth of journals, and I'm gonna give it to my child in the future, and they're gonna have to read all about my life, right?
Yeah.
Girl, I got to the end of that journal, it was depressing, okay? I was in that journal like, oh, life is miserable, and I hate it here. God, take me out. Like, you know, I was in that journal whining, and I read it back, and I said, did anybody want to show their kids this? So I was like, okay, I need to change my relationship with journaling. I need to find peace on the page. I need to write down the moments where I feel good too, not just the moments where I feel bad. Yeah. And so I moved forward with that intention, and it just completely transformed my life. All of the things that I've worked for, I've journaled about. Yeah. You know, when I said I wanted to like build an audience on Instagram, I wrote that down in my journal, and I kept writing about it, and I kept being like, okay, what's next for this? Like, you know, how can this evolve? When I wanted to lead writing workshops, I wrote it down in my journal, and it wasn't always just like strategy, because I do that part in my journal too. Yeah. But it would also just be like, how will this make me feel? What do I hope to feel like after it's over? Like, you know? And so because I had that deep relationship, I just wanted to share it with others. And journaling can be so fun, and I think people have one vision of it, which is that vision that I had in 2016, where I was like, life is miserable, but it can also be so fun, and it can be colorful, and it can, you know, you can fill it up with stickers and cut out magazine pages and do whatever you want with it. So I just wanted to encourage people to, you know, approach the practice, and that's where the artist diaries comes from. And the thing is, I've designed the book, and I have yet to release it, but it's gonna come out soon.
I love that, and beautiful. Congratulations to you for that, and I'm excited because I will be getting it when it comes out. Yes, please. Because scrolling through it on your website, I was just like, this is so intentional and so beautiful, and just the prompts, it makes you think, and it evokes this emotion, and like you said, it does bring you away from just the mundane idea of what journaling can be. I think I've been discovering that in my own journaling practice recently, is not just dumping, like you said, all the negative, but also helping to create core memories of the good stuff as well. Because, you know, you're writing that stuff down. So like you said, you're searing it in. It's a prayer. You are sending out that energy. And I love how you've also mentioned like how you switched into making journaling manifesting for you as well, because you set your intention even down to how you'd feel afterwards. So I think that's beautiful, and you've evolved journaling in a way that I think is so impactful. So thank you for sharing it as well, and offering that instead of just like, because you know, some of us feel like, oh no, there's an idea, I don't want no one to have it. You literally gifting, and I love that. That is so freeing.
Thank you. And it feels good. I mean, like when you go back and read your journals and you see 4 years ago you said you wanted to do this thing, and you did that thing, that feels so good.
It does. It really does. And how you mentioned pictures in journaling, so irony. we both laughed that we manifested each other. I'm pointing to my
Yeah.
partner, you guys can't see it. But I literally started using Pinterest boards and like cutting out pictures and stuff. And I had come across some video that talked about like, you know, instead of just using your journal as just writing, like why don't you throw some pictures in there, like, you know, start visualizing. Did that, threw some pictures, you know, from our Pinterest board, put it in the book, and was just like, okay, this may or may not happen, but whatever. 6 months later, I had written down that, you know, I wanted to start being a part of art shows to go, you know, with my photography. Not even 6 months later, maybe 3 months, I get an email, and this woman's like, hey, saw your page, you know, would love to have you as a part of this show. It was an accident, though, because she thought I was this singer who I had photographed, and so she was approaching me as a singer to perform, but I was like, oh no, actually I was the one who was behind the camera. And she was like, oh, we need artists for it, would you like to, you know, display your work? We'd love to have you as a photographer. And I was like, wait, are you serious? Because I thought she was just going to be like, oh, never mind, can you put us in contact with the singer? And there, literally, I did the journaling in what, June, October, I was a part of my first show. So I was like, oh, there might have been something to this visuals with the journaling, okay? So I love how you said, like, make it fun and incorporate the stickers, the visuals, because it really does help your mind, too. It gives you a focal point. So I love that you're bringing that to the forefront.
Thank you. When you met your partner, did you know?
Yes.
It's because of the manifesting. I did the same thing. I truly feel like I manifested the partner that I have now. And it through creative expression, through my journaling. Like, I remember I wrote this poem, and it was called "The Next Man I Love Will Love My Body." And because I've been with so many people who never really celebrated my body, like, you know, they didn't bash on it, but they weren't like, wow,
there's a difference.
There's a difference. And my partner celebrates my body like no one else, you know. And there are so many things, like, I've made a list of like, this is what I want in a partner. Long before I met my partner. I met my partner, it was immediately, I was like, oh, this is the person I've been like writing about. This is the person I've been waiting to meet. So that's real. It
really is. And like, we knew, it's so funny, the first time we met, because he was actually looking for someone to help him with his photography skills and videography, just someone to help him sharpen. And so we met the first time, and I'm a really introverted person. My anxiety is off the charts. And somehow when we were talking, he even got me to talk about my father's passing, got me to talk about all these things that I'd never shared with some of the people that have known me for years, don't know the depths of those feelings that I shared with him. And so after that first meeting, it was just like, the universe was like, I'm gonna help you out. So I had been using my aunt's basement for photo shooting, and then there was a gas leak in her neighborhood. So bye-bye basement. But I had just met him, and so he was like, yeah, if you ever need studio space, like, you know, you can use my place, it's whatever. So literally a week after meeting him, I have to be like, so hey, remember how you said I could use your space?
Yes.
Because, you know, as artists, we don't like to burden people. We like to be able to do everything by ourselves, So I was like,
guys, they're running back. Go and meet this man I introduced you to. And that happened to me too. I met my partner at a cafe. He was sitting at a cafe. I said hello, you know, introduced myself. We exchanged information. We said we were gonna, he had a film screening I was supposed to go to. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be at a film screening. Girl, I did not go to that film screening. It was like a 45-minute train ride. I said, I don't even know this man. I'm not going to this. Forget it, you know? And then I was going home to visit family, and I had missed my Amtrak train. And I had to wait in Penn Station for 3 hours. I said, well, girl, let me go to Jamba Juice, get a little snack.
Jamba Juice be hitting.
It's Jamba Juice be hitting. I love a smoothie. Fun fact about me, I would drink a smoothie every day. So I'm going to get a smoothie. I'm walking to Jamba Juice. And this man is walking towards the Jamba Juice as well. And I was like, oh, you are that person from the cafe. And I was like, all right, God, I heard you. Like, heard you.
Yeah.
So sometimes that, you know, the universe will send you a sign.
It really will. And it was just like, and then kept pushing in that direction. So I love that. So literally started working. I was like, oh, wow. Then the second time I'm there, we were walking through, we did our first collaborative shoot together, and we were like, oh, yeah, no. This is it. Like the first, and the dynamic, we were just like, oh yeah, no, This is the flow.
That is beautiful.
Thank you. And yours is too. And it's just like, and how, like you said, when you know, and it's just, there's no questioning it. Like, and then on top of that, the universe is like, oh, and in case, y'all like to have this anxiety thing, I'm going to continue to provide you with these instances of affirmations to let you know this is it. Be here.
Yeah, I'm aligned. I am aligned with that.
Yes. So, have you ever been in a really dark place or space in your life? And do you know how you arrived there? And then are you okay with sharing how you brought yourself back out?
Yeah, it was that time when I was writing in that 365 page journal.
Yeah.
That was like my first experience with being depressed. And I didn't really know it was happening. It just kind of crept up on me. And suddenly I was sitting in a cafe with my grandma one day, and she's talking to me and like making little jokes, and I just remember being like, I can't laugh right now. And I excused myself to go to the bathroom, and I just cried in the bathroom because I was like, here you are with this, with this woman you love so much who is trying her best to make you feel good. And you can't feel a thing, and so that was a really difficult place for me. And I was in it for a while, and it was after a big breakup. I had my first partner that I dated since I was like 16 to 20 years old. I had like come into adulthood with this person, and then we were no longer together. So much of me was that relationship. And I was now I faced with the challenge of figuring out who I was going to be next, And I didn't know. I had no idea. I realized like I was in a program that I was in college at the time. I realized I was in a program I had no interest in. I was a psychology major because I had a desire. I knew I wanted to talk with people. I knew I wanted to connect with people on a personal level, and be able to like heal together. And so I was like, whoa, my high school brain was like, psychology. Like, I'm gonna be a psychologist. Then I got up in those science classes and I said,
no ma'am.
Like, I thought we was gonna be chit-chatting. I thought we was gonna be ink blotting, why are we talking about the brain? But I learned a lot, of course, in those courses, but it just wasn't my passion. And so here I was, like, out of a breakup, in a program I didn't like. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life in the future. And in college, there's that pressure, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And it just took me a really long time to get out of it. So I graduated, immediately went to grad school because I was like, okay, well, like, now I don't have to do anything. I'm still learning. Then I finished grad school and I was like, oh no, this is the big finale. Like, now you really have to figure out what you want to do, what you're good at. And so that's when I returned to writing, and that's when I started sharing my writing on Instagram, and realizing like I'd always had a passion for this. I just ignored it because, art didn't seem valuable to me at the time. I hadn't seen the value in art. And even though I was being praised in those spaces, like I took creative writing classes in college and those professors were like, you're good at this, like pursue this. But instead of me being like, I'm good at this, it was like, well, this is an easy class. So like, yeah, of course I'm good at it. What I'm not good at is statistics. So that means I'm not a good, person. And so, when I started to return to writing on Instagram, I just decided, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna see where this can take me. And it's just done wonders for me. Like, amazing. Returning to the things that make you feel good. Oh, no complaints.
Your guiding light.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
Absolutely, because now even when it's hard, you're like, but I don't feel bad about me.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm still good at this thing. I got some obstacles in the way, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, whereas before I was like, I got obstacles and I'm not good at any of this stuff. You know,
and that changes everything.
So yeah, I've come a long way since that 2016 journal. I'll show it to you. I'm gonna show it to you after this.
I'd love to see it. So since we gotta wrap up, one of my favorite questions has to be, what do you want the world to know about Tauri?
I guess what I want the world to know is that if I'm gonna get up on anybody's stage and give them advice, it is just to seek out pleasure, to find joy and hold on to it for as long as you can, and that is as radical as centering the trauma, as centering the rage and frustration. Feeling good is empowering. Laughing is empowering. Dancing is empowering. Learning to celebrate life has been my greatest reward, and I want to share that with the people I love and whoever needs to hear it.
Beautiful. And that kind of ties into what's usually the last question, which is, what is your why? I think you summed that up beautifully, just to reach all these other people and those that you love. I think that is so beautiful. So Tauri, thank you for sitting with us today. Where can the family find you?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Instagram, editorial, TikTok, editorial, YouTube, editorial. Oh, I should spell it out. It's EDITAURIAL. And then, yeah, I have a website, editorial.com. And yeah, that's all the places you can find me.
That is amazing. Loved your shares. You guys, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Artist Touch. We will definitely be having Tauri back. We'll have to catch her on an Artist Tap because she is doing so many different things and is so impactful in all her shares. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Yani for House of Fluid Reflections. This has been the launch of season 2 of Artist Touch Talks, and like, comment, and subscribe. And if you yourself are an artist or a creator, comment down below or email us or find us on Instagram at House of Fluid Reflections. We'd love to highlight you. We are here to share stories and to connect with reflections. So let's do it. Peace, love, and all that good stuff.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I so enjoyed this.
Yeah. Your story is so beautiful, and I cannot wait to sit down with you